All right, let's get into it. Today, we are going to talk about two of the most powerful mental tools you can possibly have in your arsenal: critical thinking and perspective shifting. I mean, you know that feeling, right? Where you're in a discussion, maybe even an argument, and it just feels like you are talking to a brick wall. Like you're speaking completely different languages. It is so frustrating. And you know what? There's a really good reason why that happens. The thing is, in today's world, it's just so easy to get trapped inside our own viewpoint. We're constantly surrounded by information that basically just confirms what we already believe. And that makes it harder than ever to even try to see things from a different angle. It's a perfect recipe for misunderstanding and division.
So let's call it what it is, our modern mental maze. Seriously, think about it. We're all trying to find our way to what's true, but every single path is cluttered with noise, opinions, and yeah, a whole lot of half-truths.
I mean, it's just an avalanche of information coming at us every single day. And the algorithms on social media, they're designed to create these perfect little echo chambers that just feed you more and more of what you already like. Misinformation spreads like wildfire, and you know how fast debates just get super heated. So to get through this maze, you absolutely need a better set of tools.
Okay, so let's dive into what those tools actually are. To get that clarity we're all looking for, we've really got to master two fundamental skills. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but trust me, they play totally distinct and equally important roles. First up, we've got critical thinking. Think of this as your built-in fact checker. You know, it's that logical, analytical part of your brain that looks at a claim and just starts asking questions. Okay, where's the evidence for that? Does this argument actually hold up? Is this source even reliable? It's all about taking things apart and verifying them.
And then you have its partner, perspective shifting. And this is totally different. This isn't about logic, it's about empathy. It's about context. It's the art of deliberately stepping outside of your own experience and really trying to see the world through someone else's eyes. You're trying to understand their backgrounds, their experiences, what they value.
And this is where it all clicks. Look at how this boils down. Critical thinking is laser focused on one question. Is this true? It's all about validity. But perspective shifting, it asks a completely different and maybe even more powerful question. Why might they believe this is true? See the difference? It's not about what's true, but why someone holds that truth. It's about motivation.
So here's the absolute key takeaway. These are not competing skills, not at all. They are a power duo. And when you learn to combine them, you unlock this incredible level of understanding that, honestly, neither one could ever achieve on its own.
So let's get a picture of this in our heads. I want you to think like a detective working a big case. A good detective would never, ever rely on just one tool, would they? Of course not. They've got a whole toolkit.
And here's what's in that toolkit. Your critical thinking, that's your magnifying glass. It lets you get right up close to the evidence, inspect the facts, find the fingerprints, analyze all the little details. But your perspective shifting, that's your drone. It soars way up high and gives you the whole landscape. It shows you the entire scene, the context, how all the pieces connect, the big picture you would totally miss if you were just staring at the ground.
And you see why you need both, right? If you only use the magnifying glass, sure, you might have all the facts, but you could completely miss the why, the motive. And if you only use the drone, you might think you understand the motive, but you could be basing it on totally faulty evidence you never bothered to check. To solve the case, you've got to have both.
Okay, that's the theory. So how do we actually do this? Let's break it down into a super simple framework that you can literally use every single day. This is the actionable part, a 4-step process you can pull out in any challenging conversation.
It's just 4 steps. Pause, question, shift, and evaluate. Super easy to remember and honestly, incredibly effective. Let's walk through each one.
Step 1, and this might be the most important one of all, just pause. When you hear something that makes you mad or something you totally disagree with, your brain's first instinct is to fire back, right? To defend your position or to judge theirs. You have to resist that. Just don't. Take a breath, create a little bit of mental space. Okay, now that you've got some space, it's time to bring out the magnifying glass, but turn it on yourself. This is the critical thinking part. Ask yourself, okay, what are my own assumptions here? Why do I actually believe this? What's the real evidence for my position? You got to get clear on your own foundation before you do anything else.
All right, now it's time to fire up the drone. This is the big perspective shift, and here's the challenge. Actively try to make the best possible case for the other side. Don't just build up some flimsy argument, a straw man that you can easily knock down. No,
Genuinely try to understand where they're coming from. Ask what experiences or values might lead a reasonable person to this conclusion. And finally, step 4, evaluate. So you've clarified your own position, and you've made a real, honest effort to understand the other perspective. Now you can look at the whole issue again. And here's the thing. Your final conclusion might not even change, but your understanding of the topic, it'll be so much richer, more nuanced, and way, way more solid.
So you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. So why bother? Why go through all this trouble? Well, because the payoff is absolutely huge, and it goes way, way beyond just winning some argument.
And let's be really clear about something. The goal here is not to become some unbeatable debater. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. The goal isn't to win.
The real goal is to learn. It's about building bridges of understanding between people. It's about solving tough problems more effectively. And ultimately, it's about making smarter, more informed decisions in your own life.
And you start to see this payoff everywhere. You get personal growth because you're actually challenging your own biases. Your relationships get stronger because they're based on real respect, not just agreeing all the time. You become a way better problem solver at work, at home, wherever. And, on a bigger scale, we all start to contribute to a healthier, less polarized society.
So, I'll leave you with a final thought, a question to chew on. What is one belief that you hold really, really dear, that you would be willing to re-examine, even for just a minute, if you could see it from a completely new and different perspective? Really think about it. The answer? Well, it might just surprise you.